There's an incredible story told about the great tzaddik Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. It was a few weeks before Purim, and the great tzaddik Rabbi Yisrael had to leave his hometown. And it was right about that time that they would usually begin baking the matzahs for the upcoming Yom Tov of Pesach. So as Rabbi Yisrael Salanter is leaving town, the Talmidim, his students, crowded around and said, "Rebbe, you're not going to be here for the matzah baking before Yom Tov, so tell us, what chumras, what special dikdukim, what special meticulous behaviors do you employ in the baking of matzahs?" Because remember again, the baking of matzahs to be used over the course of Pesach is an incredibly important mitzvah. Besides the fact that the matzah is the vehicle through which we perform the positive mitzvah, but of course a wrong move with the matzah could also chas v'shalom result in chametz, the consumption of leavened product over the course of Yom Tov, which of course is a significant prohibition. So the Talmidim crowded around the Rebbe. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, tell us, you're not going to be here to instruct us over the course of the matzah baking, because if you've ever participated in baking of matzahs, baking of hand matzahs, so again, often there's a shir, there's a discussion beforehand, here's what you have to do, here's where you have to do it, and then even during the baking itself, there's someone who's there reminding, encouraging the chevra to do things in the right way. So again, the Talmidim, the students crowd around and say, Rabbi Yisrael, you're not going to be here for the baking of the matzahs, tell us, what chumras, what stringencies, what should we do to make sure that the matzahs are as kosher, as appropriate, as fit as possible? Rabbi Yisrael Salanter stroked his beard for a moment, closed his eyes and thought intently. He said, it's a good kasha. And he said, I want to remind you of the following. One of the people who goes ahead and bakes the matzahs for us is an older woman. She is a widow. Make sure you do not raise your voice at her. Sometimes in the frenetic pace of baking matzahs, a person says, faster, do this, do that, and you yell at each other. It's not meant as a criticizing yell. It's not meant as an angry yell. But again, in the frenetic pace of matzah preparation, you yell. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanter said, make sure, don't yell at the almana. Don't yell at the widow. She's a broken woman. She suffered so much in life. She helps us prepare the matzahs. Do not raise your voice towards her. This was the Chumrah. This was the stringency of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter in the baking of his matzahs. And the story is so profound on so many different levels. That number one, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter was teaching us that Hiddur mitzvah, we always try to perform a mitzvah in the most beautiful way possible, right? We don't try to just get by. But often we think that Hiddur mitzvah is simply a din, it's a concept in the actual performance of the mitzvah. But every mitzvah requires an interpersonal component as well. What Rabbi Yisrael Salanter was teaching his Talmidim is that in the pursuit of the perfect matzah, do not compromise your midos. In the pursuit to perform the mitzvah on the Yom Tov of Pesach in the optimal way, in the pursuit of the performance of your mitzvah bein adam lamakom, between yourself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do not take shortcuts with how you treat the other person. Sometimes we erroneously think that as long as I'm doing the right thing, as long as I'm doing the will of God, how I treat the other doesn't matter all that much. As long as I'm, there's a concept, osek b'mitzvah pater min mitzvah. When you're engaged in the performance of one mitzvah, you're exempted from other mitzvahs. And sometimes we think that what that means is that when I'm engaged in the service of God, I'm exempt from the service of the other. When I'm engaged in serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I could take liberties or shortcuts with my interpersonal contact. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the great father of Musar, tells us that that's not the case. You want to know a chumrah, a stringency, when preparing your matzah for Pesach? Don't yell at the widow. You want to know the best way to perform your mitzvos bein adam lamakom, between yourself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Make sure that all of your mitzvos have the proper bein adam lechavero, interpersonal dynamic as well. Never allow your service of God to be a license to trample on the other. Never allow your pursuit of the perfect mitzvah to allow you to take liberties with the dignity of the other. It's Chodesh Adar. It's the month of Adar, month of Purim. And the entire essence of Purim, we'll speak about this more in the coming days, is a time for achdus, a time for unity. Sometimes we look around the world and humanity is so splintered. Our country is so splintered. People are often factionalized. But we know that the koach, the strength of our people, is achdus. You want to take on a new Chumrah? You're looking for ways to increase your observance, enhance your observance? Ben Adam L'Chaveiro. Let's be a bit more careful with how we treat each other. Let's be a bit more careful with how we talk to one another. Let's be a bit more careful with the feelings of the other. And as we constantly try to grow in our service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we constantly try to make strides in our Bein Adam L'Makom, let us simultaneously move forward our Bein Adam L'Chaveiro, our interpersonal relationships, and the way we treat others as well. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.